Do you think the Indonesia will still get the windfall through the commodity boom amidst the potential of China economic slowdown?
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, there are certainly risks related to the China slowdown. But what's interesting is that Indonesia is relatively well placed to receive commodity or to enjoy the commodity boom, and that's also what we're taking into account, for instance, when we look at Indonesia's growth going forward and the growth outlook.
Okay, so how deep that China slowdown? I mean, how does economic fundamental strength amidst all those external sentiments? Or what do you think?
So I mean, Indonesia is affected by all these adverse developments in the external environment, as we discussed before the break. Like all other countries, and for instance, due to the strong U.S. dollar, the higher yields, but Indonesia is relatively well placed to cushion this particular shock. And Indonesia's credit strengths includes a relatively high medium-term growth outlook and prudent fiscal policy, with a low public debt burden, while its weaknesses include lagging structural indicators such as governance standards. And the external finances, so that's actually quite interesting, have traditionally been a weakness for Indonesia, given the dependence on commodity exports, which normally leads to a lot of volatility. But currently, the high commodity prices help Indonesia's external finances. And the current account has improved significantly over the past 2 years, even to a small surplus due to demand compression during the pandemic and also the high commodity exports. And Bank Indonesia was able to build reserves over the past few years as a result. So Indonesia is currently pretty well placed. But we expect this to change over the next few years as the situation normalizes and the current account turns into a deficit again. And the FX reserves have also been falling again, given valuation effects and also BI interventions. So well placed for the current shock, but we expect that to change again once the situation normalizes.
Okay, so Thomas, how deep the China slowdown could affect Indonesia's growth?
Mainly through lower commodity prices, as I mentioned earlier. So that would mean just simply lower exports. And we currently forecast GDP growth of 5.2% for both 2022 and 2023, and that's at the top end of the that the Indonesian authorities have for 2022, and it's mainly driven by further domestic recovery from the pandemic. So from the services sectors, for instance, including tourism, while we expect higher interest rates and a further fall in commodity prices and a reduction in the fiscal deficit to weigh on growth. And if you think about the impact of the China slowdown, then that would basically manifest itself in lower commodity prices and weaker export growth, but also the tourism, which is not so much related to Chinese growth, but to its zero COVID policy. So we expect tourism in Indonesia to gradually pick up, but Chinese tourists are not expected to come back to Indonesia anytime soon, as it's very difficult for Chinese citizens to travel to Indonesia and to return without quarantine.